Hi, my name is Stephanie Miller. I went through a really bad time in my life when I was 5 till I was 10 years old, and I thought that God was as far from me as he could be. Now I realize that that's when he was with me the most, and it's helped me help others cope with the situation, and it's helped me realize that he can really make good things happen out of a bad situation.
Thanksgiving 1994, my mother, she was a beautiful Christian woman, great health one day, and the next morning she wakes up and she can't move, she can't move her legs, she's in agony. We took her, my family took her to the hospitals, had her checked out, two, three different hospitals, and a week later we find out she's got stage 4 lung cancer, and it spread to her spine. I didn't know much about God, hadn't spent much time thinking about God. I'd grown up going to a church, but really wasn't relevant in my life at the time. But every morning I prayed. I went out, I had a paper route, and every morning when I was delivering papers, I prayed, God, heal my mother. And I believed he could. Then one morning I got up and I went out and I said a different prayer. I said, Lord, if you choose not to heal my mom, would you please take my mother home to heaven for Jesus for Christmas? Instantly I saw a star shoot up in the sky, and in my heart I knew that was the answer to the prayer. That was what was going to happen, is God was taking my mother home. Christmas Day, I spent all day with my mother, all evening, and I got to spend the last hour of her life or two telling her that, God had assured me that she was going home to heaven. But it happened on December 26th, and that bothered me for a lot of reasons, because I prayed for my mom to go home to heaven, and I questioned God's plan. And one day in a small group, I heard this from a member, but it was like God talking to my heart, and it said, God's plan is always better than anything you could imagine. And I don't know why I heard that, but it did. It sank in my heart. Later that day, I went out, I was reminiscing with my father, I'm talking to my father, and decided to share the story about my prayer back in '94, and I was telling Dad, I prayed that God would take Mom home for Christmas. My dad stopped me, he goes, well, your mom didn't die on Christmas, she died on the 26th. And I said, yeah, I know. He goes, and that was perfect, because 28 years ago, your grandfather died on the 26th of December at almost the same time. And that was God, having a family reunion. And just in my heart, at that moment, God had just sort of smiled on me and said, see, my plan was better. I still believe it.
Oh, come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appears.
I'm Bill Toomey. Been coming here to Cross Creek for 4 or 5 years. In the beginning, we came for a lot of reasons. I think more so we were in search of something. We just didn't know what we would find or what we would experience. And some of the experiences and how God is in my life today, or has shown the craziest presence of all, has really just come in the last year or so. More recently, even yesterday, a friend that I admired and initially admired him because we had fun together. We would go out and just tear up the town together. And he came to me yesterday and said, I gotta tell you, I admire you and your family. And I didn't understand what he was talking about. And he said in the last year and a half or so, you've just changed in a weird way. And your kids are awesome, your wife is incredible, and you have a different presence about you. And that's not the only person that said, I mean, that's happened like on a regular basis, like, what's wrong with you, what's up with you? And I looked at this gentleman, I said, it's not me, it's God. And when the kids went to Peru this year, it changed, I think, not only me, but my entire family as a family unit, and including Chris. To see what they were doing and to see the love of God in their eyes, and to see, all I can say as a parent, I've never seen God's love so much. I've never felt it so much, and it was the first time in my whole adult life. I'm 50 years old, and my whole adult life, I actually had my heart out on the table, and I couldn't believe the love that I was feeling. It hit me that I have the love of God. I looked around me, I looked at my son, I looked at my wife, I looked at my daughter, and it became real. It became something that you have to feel it. You can't explain it. It became real.
Oh, come thou day spring, come and cheer our spirits with thine advent here. Disperse the gloomy clouds of night, and death's dark shadows put to flight. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel.
I'm Diane Roney. Emmanuel, God with us. What a promise. God is always with us in every circumstance of our lives. Almost 4 years ago, I lost my job in Los Angeles. Now in Romans, Paul writes that God is able to work all things together for good for those that love Him and are called according to His purpose. Not that all things are good, but God works them together for good. In my situation, He brought me back to Palmyra. And in July of this year, I got a job in my field at the University of Rochester Medical Center. Unemployment was quite a journey. There were days when I felt God's presence, but many more when I did not. Days where faith held me, and by God's grace, I believed that He was with me because His Word said so. There simply is no circumstance we can be in where God is not there with us, to guide us, to grow us, to comfort us. This Christmas, I'm so thankful for my job, but I'm even more thankful that I experience His faithfulness and abiding presence daily.
Oh, come, desire of nations by, in one the hearts of all mankind. Bid thou our sad division cease, and
with us. God is with us, and with me, with my family, and it's evident every day in the little successes. I'm not perfect. I won't be perfect, but I realize now I don't have to be, because I know God is.